So there are a number of really handy symbols which can be entered into any text input area in OS X. If you just happen to be able to remember lots of fairly arcane keyboard shortcut combinations. And you know, there are the usual ones like Command and Option, and Option, Shift and K, which enters an Apple icon, various ones like that. And you might want to use these kinds of things for telling one of your other Mac using friends, for example, how to do a certain keyboard combination to carry out a function. So in this case we've got Command and Option already on there. We might want to say to them, okay, enter this, and all of a sudden I realise that I want to be able to use the control symbol. So you could just type CTRL, but you could also use the keyboard input panel in System Preferences to change the word command, control, CTRL, to the actual symbol for control, so that you can then say, okay, well then you want to enter, hit the 8 key, for example, which has the effect of inversing the screen, for example. So how did I get this text input area, which happens to be in TextEdit, but it would work in any application that takes text input? How did I get CTRL to change to the actual symbol for control? Okay, so you want to open System Preferences, and you would think that it would be in the keyboard setting, because there's this new panel here in Snow Leopard that lets you assign keyboard shortcuts to everything from various items that are in the Services menu to invoking front row, and lots of other application shortcuts that you can define your own keystrokes in here just by hitting the plus key. But that isn't where we actually create a macro to enter a particular symbol. The way that we do that is through the Language and Text System Preference panel in the Personal Settings at the top. And in the Input Sources tab, I beg your pardon, in the Text tab. In here we can see that various things have already predefined for us. So that little joke there, the misspelling, the misspelling of the, which so many people accidentally do, that's been set so that it'll replace te with the, bracket C bracket, it'll become the copyright symbol, and so on and so forth. So we can see some of those just by example. The copyright symbol, and as soon as you hit space, it changes it to the correct character. So we can define our own in here by hitting the little plus symbol at the bottom. And that's what I've done down here with Command, Option, Control, Shift and Escape. You can see if I type Escape, ESC, and then hit space, it changes to the icon for Escape, which is a single character. So how then do we get these little symbols in here in the first place? Well, for that, what you want to be able to do is first of all, go into the Input Sources tab at the top of the Language and Text System Preference, and make sure that you've got the Show Input menu in menu bar open. Okay, and what that does when you check that on and off is turn on this this little menu here. You can see in the toolbar it turns on the Show Character Viewer, Show Keyboard Viewer, and then Open Keyboard Preferences. We want to show the character viewer, and that brings up this little floating pane here, which has all of the possible symbols that we can use across the entire OS X operating system in any application that uses the Cocoa programming framework. So lots of these symbols will be familiar to people who need to be able to use technical symbology. I have no idea what half of them mean. Obviously there are some which is quite familiar, that's forward delete, that's back delete. Some of them have got other names. That one's called erase to left, that one's called erase to right, but some of them are a little bit more oblique. That one there, for example, is called broken circle with northwest arrow, which is really handy. And then there's hourglass and a benzene ring, I'm not sure what that is. And then of course there's all of these mathematical symbols in the other palettes as well, and you've got symbols from foreign languages. And so it's these shapes that we want to be able to put into a new keystroke. So let's take, for example, the registered trademark icon there, which is just a single character. If we double click that, that has now gone into the clipboard. Okay, and just to demonstrate that, we'll go back to the, this is a floating palette, so it always takes preference over everything else, so I'm just going to move it off onto my other monitor to the side here. You can't see it anymore, but believe me, it's there. And we're going to go back into the text entry panel at the side of the language and text system preference, and click the little plus icon and say, okay, I want, every time I type the letters, I don't know, reg TD, registered trademark, it will instead, oh, let me just go in and double click that again, and there we go. You see, as soon as you click it when you're in a text input area, whatever you double click from the this floating characters palette, whatever you double click will enter itself into the current area that you're entering text into. So if it's a text input field like this, it inserts the little registered trademark symbol in there. If it was notepad here, text edit, it would insert it there like that. So you double click those those shapes in the characters palette to insert them into the current text input area. Okay, I'll just move that out of the way again. Go back to system preferences. Now we see that whenever I type registered trademark, it'll actually convert it to the registered trademark symbol. Okay, so let's put that to the test. Oh, go back into text edit, reg trademark space, and it converts to the single letter for registered trademark. And that would be the way that you would do that for whatever symbol you wanted to assign here in the language and text panel. So have a bit of a play around with that. It's amazing the things that you can come up with when you dig around in OS X without having to download any freeware or third-party applications in order to get things done. It's just a matter of pecking around inside of the system preferences panel and seeing what some of the control panels you don't normally access actually do.